Right, we are once again in the Skoda going to do another Facebook Marketplace. So again, you will have seen from the thumbnail what on earth we're doing, but today we are driving down to Stafford to pick up this quite old, quite tatty bucket seat. I think in its day, or certainly the modern iterations of it are over £300-400, so we're paying 60 quid for this, so it's better than the default seats, and that's probably the best I can say about it. This is fun, now it's in traffic. Mystery congestion. Right, here we go. One very tatty Sparco Rev bucket seat. It's actually, I mean, it's quite old. So I think this either means it was made in November 98 or expires November 98. But that's just the FIA certification. So in its day, this was actually good enough to properly motorsport race in. For some reason it has all this tat on the back, which is horrible, so that's all need to come off. But it's tatty, but it does the job. Maybe we can get that reupholstered at some point, but it's pretty light, and I'll get out, sit in it and show you it's very snug. Right height for the shoulders. Very broadly sit in it. It is very supportive. Yeah, so we'll have to fit this, which means we need brackets and we need a way of putting it to the floor. Also need to get the old seats out. Alright, so the old seats are on runners. This is the passenger side, so it still has these plastic razors, so I think I'll do all my test fitting on the passenger side, so we'll take this all completely out. Which will help. The airbag, wherever the wires are, will need to be disconnected and put a resistor in to stop that working. I don't think I'll be able to mount it straight to the floor or straight onto these things. So I'm going to need to try and find the incredibly rare Twingo OMP seat plates, which is going to be a pain and probably cost a lot of money. But yeah, we'll whip these out and then we'll see what we've got to play with when the seat mounts arrive, because there's a metal plate that goes there for the seat to actually sit in. Right, so before we even think about putting this seat in, I need to take all this horrible stuff off, which comes off fairly easy. It's like, I don't know what it is, foil with adhesive on the back, and it just leaves the adhesive stuck on, which I don't care about, but it looks, I've done this side, which you won't really see when it's in the car, but looks much better than whatever this is. So we'll get rid of all this and we'll get all the brackets out. Alright, so that's about half the foil off. Now the car looks like the crystal maze inside here, so we'll get the rest of it off.
Don't forget to like the video, and if you've enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel. Once you've done that, make sure you hit the notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss any future episodes. If you want to support the channel even more, there is a Patreon, various levels, and they all have different reward tiers, such as YouTube credits and even having your name or logo written on the car. Lastly, there is a merch store where you can pick up some cool CrewTube or Project Twingo merch. There's mugs, there's t-shirts, there's all sorts, all colours. Link in the description below for all these.
Right, to mount your bucket seat in your car, you need a pair of side mounts, or bottom mounts depending on your seat. So these go on the side, you clip through the two rolls here, and then they bolt to the seat frame base, or subframe base, which goes to the base of your car. I'm going to be directly fitting these with no adjustments, so I don't have sliders. So you could put sliders in between the base here and your subframe. So M8 bolts into the seat, and then I've also got the same ones to go into the base here. They need to be a certain rating, so I'll put that on the screen. And then the same for the subframe, except for it's M10 and slightly stronger, just because M10 bolts are bigger. So we'll go hook these up now. Right, so we have the seat on its side mounts, and then this is the subframe that goes between that and the floor. So let's jack the car up, done, and then we'll go underneath and take out the bolts which are on the Twingo underneath. So there's one underside there, one underside there, and two further up. Alright, so we are under the car, and we are looking for these bungs which come off, and you can see that they hold the seat rails in under there. So there's one here at the back, there's one here, and then if my memory serves me correctly, there are the other two right here, way over further than you think, actually in this sort of exhaust tunnel. There goes the exhaust all the way down there. It's very, probably should have done this before I'd lowered the car, because it's very low now. I just spent ages trying to find out where I'd lost a socket set. I couldn't find out where it was. Yeah, it was there the entire time. I've been taking this for a drive down the road, just with the socket set under there. Right, so this is a 13mm, I think. Helps if I don't do it the right way. Slightly too long for my sockets, for my deep sockets. So flying out the car in an accident. There we go. So that's what comes out is a really funky looking nut. Now we'll just do this 4 more times. Right, now they're done. Next is the most important step, is just disconnect the battery. Because we are now going to be dealing with airbags. So the last thing you want to have happen is, whilst you're taking the seat out, is the airbag to go off in your face. Right, as you can see, the seat is now pretty loose. So what we need to do is follow this wire up into here and disconnect the airbag, which is just hopefully a little push clip, and it will come out, which I'll do with 2 hands. Right, screwdriver in here. It's very sharp, bits of metal everywhere now. Take the safety clip out, and then that just simply disconnects. I'm just pulling them off now. And one airbag wire, so you'll need some resistors to go in here to trick the system into thinking the airbag's still connected so you don't get the lights on your dashboard. We'll talk about that in a minute. And yeah, Let's get this seat out then. Oh, this is heavy, boy. And this is what you're left with. So let's get that seat frame. Now, I don't know which way around this is supposed to go. I'm going to guess this way, judging on these holes and the fact that the OMP is lined up with you. Is that lined up? Yep, these all pretty much line up. Yeah. So one thing, I've taken the black plastic spacers out, which this size has, so these would definitely sit a lot better on those, but should be fine. So let's bolt this in. Right, so all we've done here is we've got a big fat M10 bolt with a washer on going down, and then we're going to have a nylock nut with a washer on the underside to tighten them back up. It's not here, not too happy about this, so what I will likely do is I will take the passenger seat out at some point and put these spacers back under here, or I will get either a stack of washers under there, or a build bit of metal just to fill that gap out, just so it's nice and snug. This would be a lot easier with two people, so one person can be inside holding it and the other person can be outside, but you can wedge a spanner in here, and then I'm just using an impact underneath. Don't know how I'll show this. Just to tighten it up. Right, so spanner on top, nut and washer underneath. Done. Tight. That's one side tight. The other side's going to be harder to do by myself. Not quite sure how I'll manage this. We'll see. Managed to do it by myself by weighting down the spanner so it hit the gearbox housing, so that's nice and tight now, and then we're going to do the same on this side. So we'll put this in here, push up the gear lever, put something heavy on it so when I push it with the impact underneath it doesn't move, in theory. Right, so that is the seat quickly mounted, so it's fully bolted in, but I've not put all the washers on because I'm pretty sure it's not in the right place. You can see, nice and tatty. So let's see what it feels like, and then we'll adjust from there. Okay, that's a bit harder to get in there. Doesn't help I'm still jacked up in the air, and I don't really need a socket set underneath my feet. I mean, it's got some flex in it because it's fiberglass. I'm held in. I feel like it's very hard to tell because the car's jacked up, but it feels like I'm slightly angled that way, but I think that is just a Renault thing. The steering wheel is a bit too far away, might just need to come forward a little bit, so we'll adjust that. Where's the keys gone? Yeah, if I'm strapped in here, this is just a bit too far away. So yeah, I need to come forward an inch. Might need to drill some holes, but we'll see. Of course, one thing that now happens is the airbag light goes away because there's no airbag. So we'll need to sort that out with a resistor. Oh, another thing you need to sort out is the seat belt. So I don't have a harness at this point, so I'm still going to be using the original seat belt, and there's no seat belt adapter here. So I'm going to have to take off the old seat and mount it on somewhere. There's a few ways you can do 3-point harnesses in a bucket seat. For me, I think the way this is just just is. I'll just hold this down here. I think this is still pretty good. Some people put them through the shoulder mounts, but I don't think that's going to work. Some people thread them through here, but this is such a tight seat anyway that I think just remounting this here will do the job. So that's another thing to do, which we'll do as well. To sort the seat belt out, you need something like this. It's just basically a fuse or a resistor, and you put it into the two specific wires for your seat, which we'll show in a minute. This is a slightly fancy one bought off eBay, but you can just get a normal 3.3 ohm for Twingos and I think Clios, and just jam it in the relevant bits of the plug. Right, so nut down this plug. My fancy one, the pins are too fat to go in here, so I am going to have to use just some normal 3.3 ohm washers. So there's 6 cables going in here. There's 4 on this side, 2 on this side, and it should be these 4 here that you need to short out in pairs. The other 2 should be the seatbelt binger, but we'll see. So we've got one resistor in one set, one resistor in the other set. So one's for the actual airbag to fire and one's for the pretensioner. So now, if I turn this on, the airbag light comes on and then goes away. So this means it will pass an MOT like this. Right, so now we need to get this off. So there's one Torx screw in here. And then hopefully this panel will pull off and reveal what's underneath. Right, so under here is a big red, well these were connected. There's a red safety clip to push back and then a tab on the other side to pull. And that leaves you with this. So this is obviously the seat belt. There's one wire, which is presumably for checking your seatbelt's plugged in. Goes into here, which I think is the airbag pretensioner. So explosives, do not mess around with that. So we need to undo this whacking great Torx bit, I think, to get actually to this cable. Should be fun. So this is what comes out. This is the pretensioner. So there's the wire for the seatbelt, goes around here, and this, in a crash, this would explode or something and pulls this tight. Connectors for both the seatbelt and the pretensioner. I actually went for a quick drive without this, just up and down the road here, and it doesn't actually bing without this connected, so you don't actually need to do anything to reconnect those wires, so that's good. But what we need to do is just bolt this through this hole on the other side into one of those. It does unfortunately have this big standoff bit here, so we need to just chop that off to make it nice and flush.
Explosives, do not mess around with that.
All done. There we go, all bolted in with a washer to spread the load on both sides. This will do for now until get a harness in here. So let's check how it fits. Right, this is a bit more awkward to get in now. Right, there we go. Shut the door. Tighten it up. Yep, that's pretty tight along there. It definitely wouldn't work going through that gap. That's too small. So going over is fine for this seat, this car, this position, this seat, the seat belt. If you have a different seat, it might require it to go through these side holes here, but for me it's fine. Yeah, I think we're good to go with this. Let's take it for a drive.
Right, so let's give this a go. There goes the seat, nearly broke the back window. It's certainly louder in here. I am not moving from the hips down. The brakes are beeping again at me. Definitely not moving around a lot. Yeah, definitely, aside from the annoying beeping, definitely have the confidence to chuck this around a bit more. Got a bit of a sharp left here, so perfect. I would have slipped out of my seat at that point. Definitely much lower to the ground now. Yeah, this is quite a marked improvement. Certainly less comfy. Yeah. Definitely feeling more supportive. Fast right-hander. Can definitely feel a lot more through my bum as well. So I'm literally bolted to the floor, and that sort of stuff hurts. Fast left. Too scared. Yep, all seems good. All seems good. Job done.